variety of different data sources and spotting issues with customer engagement long after those issues had actually transpired. Right? It required a lot of manual work, a lot of manual coordination across several teams across the bank. But more recently, things are beginning to change, and our bank has invested in this platform called Agent Space, which has been a true game changer for us. Agent Space brings state-of-the-art enterprise search capabilities, along with AI-enabled agentic workflows that have truly been a game changer for us. And what's even more exciting is this agent called Prism that we built, which has actually been my best buddy now at work. So let me just show you how Prism helps me with my job. So this morning, as my day started, I got a notification in my email from Agent Space, which seemed interesting, so I clicked into it. And there's an alert here from Agent Space that says something's wrong with product sign-up rates. There's a 15% drop. So clicking into this takes me into Agent Space. I get into Agent Space, and here's Prism. So as I load Prism up, there you go, there's the proactive alert from Prism. It says the sign-up rate for our high-yield savings product has actually dropped by about 15%. So this happened right around the weekend. It's quite a severe alert, 15%. I wasn't quite expecting this. I thought we had a fairly good campaign, so something's seriously wrong. Now, so the problem solver in me wants to go find out what exactly happened. Like, is this affecting all customers, or is this affecting certain customers? And so there's some helpful suggestion here from Agent Space, which I'm going to click into. So what's happening here is that a question that I asked in natural language is being converted into a complex SQL query, which is then run against data sets in BigQuery to really help understand and get underneath this issue. And what Agent Space has done is come up with a deeper analysis on the drop in sign-up rate. So it turns out that this red line on the top, those are our mass affluent customers. And there's actually been quite a significant drop in their sign-up rates. The remaining two lines, blue and green, seem to be doing okay. And Agent Space went a step further and it said, hey, not only are the sign-up rates dropping, but guess what? This drop has quite a significant impact on your net interest margin going ahead. So there's a $5 million risk to your net interest margin if you don't go fix this. So that's interesting. That puts the problem into perspective. And so now I'd like to understand what's going on with these mass affluent customers. So getting into this, this is truly magical. So Agent Space is doing a very comprehensive cross-factor analysis, right? Mixing internal data with external data to help me build some hypotheses around why did our mass affluent customers drop off in their sign-up rate. And so as you look through this, well, so early last week we shipped a new release. We updated our app. Turns out the update was not all that stable. We've had some crashes. So sign-up rates have dropped. We also ran a marketing campaign. I thought it was a bit superficial without a clear call to action. And so the adoption rate, the click-through rates on that campaign have actually been low as well. But the icing on the cake is this chart on the right, where Agent Space has looked at search traffic data. And it looks like one of our competitors ran a fairly aggressive cashback campaign. And that's taken away all the search traffic away from our website to theirs, right? And so no wonder this has caused a drop in the sign-up rate. Well, a lot of analysis and navel gazing, so time to now figure out what do we do about this, right? And so I'd like to turn this into some meaningful next steps for us. So based on what you know so far, guide me on the next steps. So Agent Space knows about my job. It knows the context in which I actually operate. And on the basis of that, it's able to come up with a couple of different recommendations on how do we actually proceed from here. The first one is, kind of the low-hanging fruit. It's the obvious one. We need to go let our engineering team know that, hey, the app's unstable. Let's go do something about it. But then it's also suggesting that we run a campaign to win back these customers that we may have lost through the funnel last week. So I'm interested in actually what this does. So clicking on creating an engineering ticket, Agent Space seems to have come up with a ticket with all the necessary details in it. Also has attached, a summary of this conversation so that the team at the back end that's going to work on this knows where I'm coming from. And I'm going to hit create. Now folks, this is true workflow automation at its display, right? So Agent Space has managed to integrate with our backend Jira system and has now gone ahead and created a ticket in Jira. This is often where things fall to the cracks, right? So we've got teams of analysts and folks on the business side, they do these fancy analysis, they figure out, what's going on. And then in that handoff from one team to another team, things fall through the cracks, right? And here's where Agent Space has managed to plug that gap for us and create a direct link and provided us with a way to communicate with the engineering team in a direct manner. Let's go quick into Jira. There you go. That's our ticket, a request to engineering to roll back the changes that we put in last week. Things look okay, so we're going to come back. Sorry. Oh, it's following me too. You can do your escape.
Top right hand corner.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're back here. Let's figure out what to do about this campaign. So what I'd like to understand is, hey, who do we target this campaign to, right? And so I'm going to use Agent Space to help identify a set of customers that we could go run this campaign against. What's amazing to me about Agent Space is, yes, of course, you've got this data analysis, you've got visualization, but it's this proactive nature of problem solving, right? So staying with me step by step and actually anticipating the questions that I'm going to answer and then be able to serve me up this data quite instantaneously. Everything that we've looked up so far probably takes a few days and a few weeks to get done. And here we are problem solving through this process in a matter of a few minutes, right? So Agent Space has identified 3 different customer cohorts. These are all customers that maintain high balances in their current accounts, kind of low interest accounts, right? They seem to have invested in some investment products lately, also have a very good credit history, so not a bad group to go after. And so we're going to go run our campaign against this. Now to be able to run campaigns, I need marketing assets, right? I need some visual aids that I can use in my campaign and target these customers with. And Agent Space can help me out here as well. By using some of the state-of-the-art media generation models out there, like for example, Imagen, Agent Space will actually help me create certain visuals. So Agent Space, and also Prism in this case, really understands the company's style guide. All of that context has actually been fed into it. So it's able to use a lot of this information and come up with visual suggestions that actually aligns with our brand and the way we go to market, right? It's given me a detailed prompt over here, a lot of details over here. You can see here it's trying to use my company's style guides and whatnot. Okay, I'm going to go generate this image. 4 different suggestions. Here you go. So this is something that I could embed on a web page. I could include in an email. There are details around here that are quite interesting. There's also an email preview here that I could use with an email campaign. There you go. Okay, it hasn't yet quite sent the email. It's only made these assets for me, and I decide as a human whether I want to execute this campaign or not. But what I would like to do is introduce a sense of urgency over here. Throw in some cash, get customers to sign up quickly. So let's create a bit of, element of time and urgency to this. So I'm going to edit the prompt that I had before. Put in a line here about, hey, let's get a $100 cash incentive, create a bit of a deadline for urgency, and then run the image where you get. Here you go. It's a bit hard for you all to see on the screen, but there's text here about, go do this today and win $100 as you, take up our savings account. I have 2 options from here. I could, run a campaign on LinkedIn. So it integrates into my LinkedIn. I have a set of customers that's chosen, and I can fire off this message through LinkedIn to those customers. Could look at the email again, see if I got the language around urgency and cash rewards and whatnot. There you go. Here it is. Do this today. And so a look at this. Seems pretty good to go. I have my customer cohort identified, and I'm going to authorize it to send this email. Right. So that, folks, is a day in the life of a marketing agent now with agent space in their hands. Right. As I said, what normally takes weeks has now been reduced to a few days. And as Mo said, this now gives us the ability to run several campaigns in parallel. Right. Over to you, Mo.
Thank you. Can we give some hands to Renee? Can we switch back to the presentation, please? All right, I'm going to up my pace so that I can cover some points that connects all of these things. But what you saw today was a fantastic illustration of how you can transform the life of somebody like a Steve through thinking about a workflow, not a sequential sets of steps, but rather an interconnection between information, decision criteria, and analyses that can be put on their fingertips. This particular technology is open at every layer that we've defined. Agent Space is the framework that allows you to do this very quickly. But behind it is some out-of-the-box connectors to systems like Jira or others. Ability for us to tap into somebody else's agentic framework, like a ServiceNow or a Salesforce or so on and so forth. The ability for us to connect these agents seamlessly so they discover each other and talk to each other through an open protocol called agent to agent. The ability for us to connect into enterprise data securely and in a reliable way using a protocol called MCP. The ability for us to update that data, keep it in sync, and do all of that securely with privacy protection. If you want to learn a lot more about those details, please do join the team in the booth. They have all the experts in there who can talk to you. I know privacy data is very critical, so please do ask them the hard questions. You'll be surprised to see how we thought about solving those aspects. So today, if I was to summarize, this is a real-life scenario that used to take 2 to 4 weeks based on what they told us, down now into under 2 hours once we've automated the platform. No switching context. This is only one example, dear audience, and there are many, many others across the logos that you've seen. We've had companies think about the stores of the future, and how do you actually walk into the store and take a frustrating experience of I don't know where the product is and I'm chasing an agent down to a trolley that will click a button and with AI actually navigate you the aisles. We just showcased that last week. All the way into improving the life of a customer service agent, helping teachers do grading, down into the basics of how do we take everything in public sector, manufacturing, retail, finance, etc., to a very productive conclusion. Now, you may be thinking, Mo, you make sound all of this easy. It is not. Every one of those experiences is grounded in some hurdles that every organization has to overcome. The most obvious one is around talent, the ability to think and construct this. In fact, our biggest challenge is not the technology. Our biggest challenge at the moment is to make people think through the possibilities and have the confidence to actually apply them. So we bring a lot of our engineers, a lot of our folks to work hand in glove with teams. That's what we've done here locally with very advanced companies like Canva or folks who are transforming healthcare like Heidi Health and others. Similarly, of course, we have to think about the business impact. If you venture into generative AI and then discover the cost burden later on, you're often too late and have paid the debt. So how do you think about doing this in an optimal way? Which brings us into some lessons learned that we've learned on do's and don'ts, and then I'll tell you how in Google we translated that. First thing is, pick the use cases that deliver immediate value. A lot of people sit down and say, let me go do the science experiment. The difference between those who succeeded versus not is those who took a real hard case. DBS Bank did not sit down and wishy-wash. They immediately said, I'm going to go and improve my agent experience for 4,000 agents, and I'm going to go big and I'm going to make it work. And they just did it with executive sponsorship. Really deeply think about transforming the experiences internally and externally. In fact, I would argue that some of the companies that have succeeded in transforming externally are the ones who first tried it internally. Before we launch, search with improved AI capabilities and previews and so on, we did it internally. to all Google employees. We gave feedbacks, we irritated, we understood, and so on, and then we made it available to the rest of the world. Recognize AI layer to invest in. This is an important one. A lot of times, technical teams love to get their hands dirty. They want to get a feel for the technology before they feel confidence in it. So I'll give you an example. Many people, for example, did not want to commit to a certain model. Today they want to use ChatGPT, tomorrow they use Gemini, maybe Anthropic, Claude, etc. So what did they do? They went and invested too much of their effort to create an abstraction layer that tries to manage all of these different models, because like switch. Well, that created a technical debt. Every time a new model comes every 2 weeks and so on, they're trying to figure out which one it is, can I retest it, can I have it? That is something you don't need to worry about. People like Google have now invested in platforms that manage all of that for you, seamlessly integrates them, updates them for you at scale. So decide where you're going to create your value and where you want to invest. Those are the do's. The don'ts, do not skip the prerequisites. Data is an important one. But I say this not as in please go venture into a 2-year data cleansing and data management project. It's actually do it in good enough. Good enough for me to move this data and move forward to it. Over-invest ahead of use cases. That's something else that people will do. They'll decide I need to do this, and I need to do the model, and I need to modernize the application, and I need to do all of it. You don't need to do all of that. The people who've progressively developed, they put MVPs, they move from MVP, then they build on it, then they build on it, and that's a very good standard to apply in generative AI. And then lastly, reskilling the organization. Now you may look at a Google and say Google is sort of maybe an iconic company for innovation and skill. Please don't be surprised when I tell you that I have taken every single technical member of my team, and we are actually getting them to do a lot of technical work again to understand AI, from coding down to actually how you integrate and so on. The learning and the upgrading is a constant journey, and don't be intimidated by it. Today, you can, with Google, have deep developers manipulate and take control of the full stack, or you can have people have no code and create AI agents. That's skilling at both levels. Skilling doesn't mean that I understand the guts of Gemini. Skilling means I know how to use it, I know how to integrate it, how to do it safely and at scale. We've built this stack with that knowledge. So I'm going to round off very quickly here, which is we looked at it from agents and applications. What can I do out of the box? So today, if you look at marketing, we have started to create marketing agents out of the box. You don't need to recreate that. Generative media, if you go to the booth, you'll see it, is out of the box pre-integrated. From media to images to video, how do I integrate it, connect it? It's all because we understand everybody's doing it, so why make everybody recreate the wheel? Let's give it to them to be able to use it. The AI platform that I described allows you to take advantage of every model. Today, any model you want, with the exception of the commercial OpenAI, OpenAI is available in the platform in Google. You can come in, we have customers who mix and match. They use Sonic, they use this, they use that. And we've created a layer that allows you to actually equalize the cost between those. So you don't need to worry about it. If you look below the models, constantly we're innovating and delivering those. We now deliver them on the device, such that you can do privacy and control. We put them in cars, we put them in Samsung TVs, and we put them all the way in cloud in a hybrid way. And then the data layer that I described earlier, what you saw through Vinay's demo, whether it's putting natural language and changing it to a SQL, was matched by an agent that sits in a place called BigQuery that already analyzes this information and tell you how it is. And then finally, the AI hypercomputer. I won't go through all of the details on this. You will be able to look through them. But I will share one further, I'm pleased to give you an update on, which is an advancement that now we have combining our infrastructure and models that allows us to start to address notions of sovereignty and locality. So we were the first to work with NVIDIA and the only to work with NVIDIA to now bring the full Gemini model in an air-gapped environment that could be deployed in a very secure, isolated fashion, and you can run everything inside of your enterprise or a government agency or so on. What we've also learned is that to be able to deliver AI, you have to optimize across all the pieces. And for us in Google, we're in this privileged position to be the only company in the world that is operating. We build our own hardware, we build our own models, and we work with third party, and we build our own platforms. That gives us a very unique perspective as to how you deliver price performance in a way. When people ask us, how is it that you're able to deliver Gemini at a price performance better than anybody else, time after time, with large context windows, with agents have big memory, and so on? The answer is, we combine all of these things to optimize the stack. With that, I want to thank you for listening. I'm sorry I'm 4 minutes over, but I'm sure